Yo, I'm here. So it's been 2 weeks. I haven't been making any videos because I've been hoping that maybe something bleed related resurfaces. But after the bleeding concoction buffs, I realized that probably is nothing gonna appear after like tinkering with different things. I just want to talk about the sort of state of bleeding in PoE2. It's not gonna be like any rant or anything because I understand that it's early access and it is normal to have like balance problems and stuff, that some things are weak. But I started as Gemling Legionnaire and like fragmentation rounds with Ice Wall, and I was thinking that if I use that for clear and snipe for single target, or like I was initially thinking the armor break, I think heavy piercing rounds, something like that. I was thinking it's gonna be like decent, but I quickly ran into a problem that initially I couldn't really rely on bleed whatsoever. My fragmentations rounds were dealing more damage. And then when I got to snipe, it got them better. And if we ignore the clunkiness, where you have to first use Glacial Bolt and then Fragmentation Bolt and like keep swapping it. If we ignore the clunkiness of that, the damage was pretty nice, both clear and single target wise with snipe. The only problem with snipe is that you needed to like perfectly time it, especially with window of opportunity, but it wasn't much of a problem to me. I was kind of having a blast in the like second half of the campaign when I got everything up and running, but when I got to maps, I realized that I don't say the density, but the clear requirement has kind of skyrocketed, and with the both clunkiness and the lack of AoE for Glacial Bolt and Fragmentation Bolt combination, even with like cast and freeze pre-nerf, I couldn't consistently freeze the enemies to shatter them and quick enough so that the clear wouldn't feel shit. And it basically forced me to get off the character. And I tried bleed with bleeding concoction and melee, and the problems there is that for melee, you aren't really playing a melee build. You're not really playing a bleed build. You're just playing a melee build which somewhat utilizes bleed as like for single target, right? But you're also using Ignite with Perfect Strike and all that. So you can't really make a good bleed build no matter what you do, except for maybe the Bloodmancer, Hemomancer, I forgot what she called, like the Blood Witch. And yeah, it's just Giga sad. And Blood Witch, I didn't even consider trying her because she's just so punishing, and yeah, I don't even want to try it. And if you consider that it's very hard to get aggravation for her, it's just Giga sad. So yeah, basically bleed isn't really playable in a decent way as anything, and that's why I've been just looking for some dot builds to play. And I'm currently like leveling a Pathfinder, hoping that the Peaconk is good with the buffs. So yeah, just wanted to update you that like all my tinkering with bleed and like thinking and trying to find something just didn't result in anything decent. So yeah, hopefully GG will pay attention like to bleed and the problems it has, where Hammer of the Gods is literally the only way you can play bleed. And at the same time, it's just only for single target, which is like giga cringe. And then just the base numbers for bleed, which are 15% non-aggravated and 45% aggravated, are just so low compared to poison and even ignite, that even if you aggravate, your damage is still way lower than any other dot you can have. And it's just pathetic. And then I was hoping for bleeding concoction buffs to actually do something, but what ended up happening is that bleeding concoction has the same numbers as poisonous concoction, and poison is just straight up better because you have up to 80% damage. No, not 80, actually 160, because it's 20% of your like damage as dot, and then you have 8 poisons, which means it's 160% damage per second, while bleed is locked behind being only 45, and you can't really do anything. And the numbers between poison concoction and bleeding concoction, just like I said, are almost the same. And there isn't anything that makes bleed stand out except for duration. But like duration is not really a problem because you can both easily scale it on tree. And yeah, it just It's just in a very bad state. I don't know what's up with like the bleed hate between GGG. That's obviously code, but you know, just to be silly. So yeah, it's just in an incredibly sad state, and I honestly think that it's currently unplayable unless you do Hammer to God. So yeah, that's about it. If any one of you is playing some bleed stuff like Hemomancer, uh, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to find out anything that is working with bleed, but I've currently been miserably failing in that regard. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Stay sane.